Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to part 2 of our 5-part Core Set 2019 pre-release prep video series. Today we're looking at some of the key cards you're going to find in blue. If these show up in your pool next weekend, you might want to start thinking about playing some blue perhaps. You're going to see a special emphasis on commons and uncommons, since those will be the cards you're going to see the most of in your pool. Now, quickly before we get started though, just a fast reminder, if you check out the description below, you'll find a few ways to help support us. Our Patreon page is linked below. You're also going to find a link to products on Amazon. If you make any purchases from Amazon, once you go through that link, no matter what it is, we'll get a small percentage for the channel. Finally, Flipside Gaming still offering a promo code for our viewers. Hopefully you can save some cash while you support us. And as always, thank you not only to the folks that look at those links, but to all the viewers. Y'all make the channel what it is. Let's get into it, though. We're going to begin by looking at the signpost cards that touch blue. As a reminder, if you didn't watch the last video, the term signpost card means a card that's a gold card, typically in 2 colors, usually uncommon, that Wizards uses to kind of show you what the 2 colors are trying to do together. So a lot of the cards we're going to talk about today are not necessarily cards that play into these synergies with other colors. I tried to find cards that are just pretty good no matter what. But if you have a lot of cards that work together, just pay attention to that. And also if you get any of these signpost cards, that could help you too. The first is Aerial Engineer. Of course, that's the Azorius colors, white and blue. We talked about that in the last video. But again, this is about having an artifact on the battlefield. It doesn't mean you have to have a ton of artifacts in your deck, but you want artifact consistency with some of those cards that care about that. Psychic Symbiont. This is a black-blue signpost card that really showcases what those colors are trying to do. It's all about control and keeping card advantage. Black's going to force your opponent to discard a lot of the time. Blue's going to help you draw. This card embodies that pretty well and gives you a 3/3 flyer. Not bad at all. Next is Enigma Drake. That one's actually a reprint. Is it colors red and blue? And as you can imagine, like many other sets, there are usually more instants and sorceries in red and blue. And that's the case here. And of course, cards like Enigma Drake will take advantage of that. Skyrider Patrol and Simic colors, green and blue, really showcases what those colors are trying to do. Blue's giving you a little bit of evasion for those big green creatures that might have trouble getting across, especially if they don't have trample or something like that. The green portion is also pumping them a little bit, so it totally makes sense. Okay, let's look at the commons that you might want to watch out for once you open your packs next week. Divination is the first one. This one isn't anything crazy. I was on the fence whether to even include it, but I did want to bring it up because I do think it's important to have ways to move through your deck faster than your opponents, and blue is great at that. This is one of those key cards. You don't want to go overboard with divinations necessarily because it does feel like you're taking the turn off sometimes to draw, and you don't want to always fall behind in those situations. But once you use divination, it does improve your odds dramatically, doing better over the next few turns anyway. Essence Scatter. This is a fantastic card for Sealed. More so Sealed than probably almost any other format because Sealed is so creature-centric. It's so good that I wouldn't even worry about sideboarding it in because I know my opponent's going to have a whole bunch of creatures. This is a cheap way to deal with some of those bomb creatures, and it's splashable. Frilled Sea Serpent. I look for removal in my pool. I also look at ways to try to get card advantage, but one of the other big things I look at is how to break through a board stall, which happens quite frequently in Sealed games. This is one of those ways to do it. A 4/6 for 6 with that ability. Yeah, you have to pump some mana into it, but to make it unblockable for a turn could be big in the late game. Ghost Form, another big card that could show up to help you push that damage across in the late game, and it's also very splashable. Omen Speaker. You know, a lot of new players overlook this one. They just don't really see the value offhand. It's a 1/3 for 2, but that 1/3 for 2 entering the battlefield allowing you to scry 2 is actually a pretty big deal. Scrying early will help you hit your land drops, especially if you're maybe going 3 colors, and scrying late will help you get past lands to try to hit your heat when you need it. It's actually a really good play for 2 mana, and it's a decent little blocker too. Alright, let's look at some uncommons. There are some strong ones actually in blue. Departed Deckhand. Now, most of the time, this is unblockable. Not always, but most of the time. And most of the time, that ability is going to make another one of your creatures unblockable. Sure, your opponent might have some spirits here or there, but if you use that ability on a big green creature that doesn't have evasion, that's just trying to get its damage across, at that point it might not even matter if it's getting blocked by a little spirit one time or something like that. This could, again, get you past that big board stall, and that's huge for sealed. It's a little fragile as a 2/2, and that drawback could be a problem from time to time, but I'm still going to go for it. Exclusion Mage. This is the closest reprint to Mana War that we've seen in a while. Now, Mana War could also bounce your own stuff, which was kind of nice, but still, many times in Mana War, you just simply bounce your opponent's best thing and put a 2/2 in play on your side. That was enough tempo and enough swing sometimes to make a big difference. This card is phenomenal. Horizon Scholar. 4/4 flyer for 6, splashable, only 1 blue, and I get to scry 2 when it enters the battlefields. Yeah, this thing is powerful and sealed. Psychic Corrosion. I'm usually not a big fan of enchantments that don't do anything when they enter the battlefield. Again, it feels like you're kind of taking the turn off sometimes. But when you're going up against a 40-card deck, just one of these could have a huge impact and put your opponent on a clock, especially if you back it up with a little bit of card draw. This is definitely a card that could steal you some games. Sleep. Here's another card that will steal you some games. This is very powerful, perhaps first pickable in a lot of packs as a matter of fact. It is 2 blue, not as splashable unfortunately, but sometimes you just get off 2 big hits, and hopefully that's enough to end the game at that point. Surge Mare. This is the last uncommon I included, but I just felt like it was doing so much for 2 mana, even if it was on color. First off, 0/5, it's a good blocker. Sometimes blue just wants that. You can pump its power and reduce its toughness, so when it does get by, you can do some actual damage with it. Also, you can loot when it does damage to an opponent. And the fact that it can't be blocked by green creatures is actually pretty important, because sometimes it's those big green creatures that gum up the battlefield that you can't get past. Alright, we're going to wrap things up by looking at some bomb rares and mythic rares of the set. These are the rares that when you open your packs and see these, you're going to want to look really hard at that color. Now, if the rest of the cards in that color are horrible, then maybe you still have to skip it. Don't fall into the trap. But if you can play these cards, they're going to be great for you. The first one, Patient Rebuilding. Here's another enchantment that does nothing when you play it. What has happened to me? But this one, again, with a 40-card deck, is going to be really strong. Also, it can lead to some card draw for you. Plays really good with Psychic Corrosion, which we just saw a few moments ago. This is another one that could steal you some wins. Wind Reader Sphinx. This is a reprint. Last time it was printed, though, it was a mythic, so it got the bust down to rare. It's still very powerful. A 3/7 flyer for 7 is very reasonable in sealed. And whenever a creature with flying attacks, you get to draw a card. And this can attack quite often with that high toughness. And finally, of course, Tezzeret Artifice Master. This card is nuts. It's a big Planeswalker 5 loyalty for 5. It has the +1 ability to make Thopters to protect itself or just create a bunch of flyers that could eventually take over a board. The 0 is going to let you draw a card, maybe 2 cards. The -9 is going to let you start tutoring up other threats if you ever got there. But honestly, you probably won't even need to get there. This card will probably win you the game before that point. If you do -9 it, you probably already would have won. This thing is just incredible. Alright, with that being said, that's a look at some of the key cards in blue that you want to watch for at your pre-release. Tomorrow we're going to be back doing the same thing for the black cards. We're also going to check in on the banned and restricted list update tomorrow. If there is anything to report there, we'll do a video on that as well. But until next time, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.